Good evening and welcome to Bloggers on I-24 News. I'm Oded Grober and I'm very happy to welcome you to our show where we try to bring you a different perspective on news stories as well as social trends. To help me achieve that, I have with me in the studio Amit Levinthal from The Buzzer. It's a sports blog?
Yes, it's a sports blog with me and fellow colleagues of mine right over there, and we deal with sports in a wider perspective, also with social, cultural aspects.
Yeah. Thank you. And Gili Brenner from Levinthal. What kind of blog is that?
Hi, it's a new blog. Hi, it's a new blog that deals with the mash of civilizations that we are experiencing today, the East and West, and in particular the new cityscape in Europe.
Wonderful. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you both. But before we begin, here are 3 short stories that caught our staff's attention.
The best house dance talents proved their worth during a week-long dance competition. It was the 3rd edition of the Summer Dance Forever, a street dancing festival in Amsterdam. The competitors pushed their boundaries in a mix of salsa, break tap, jazz, and hip-hop, all combining to a unique style. A chocolate shop in Cairo offers pastries with images of the new Egyptian strongman, General Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, alongside cakes and chocolates of their other political leaders. An anti-missile bag? The rhino skin is an Israeli invention by the designer Hila Ram. Well, the backpack is also a vest made to protect the vital organs in case of a missile or rocket attack. Sounds radical? Well, not in the insane world we live in.
So, Amit, I'm not going to run and buy that bag just yet, but what do you think it implies, the fact that it's even on the market?
I think, it's a product that it's kind of absurd, It's a combination of the Israeli reality and the Jewish mind, I think. But what I find most ironic about it is that the place where, there are in most need for that right now is across the northern border in Syria.
Right.
So maybe
we can export it.
Yeah, maybe that's the way to peace.
Yeah, Gili, what caught your attention?
I love the chocolate. It's a great idea, but I think that at the rate of what's going on in Egypt, I'd suggest that they get Mubarak's portrait back, perhaps, or other portraits of anybody else in the country. You never know.
Well, I'm always for chocolate. Right. But let's move on. Coming out of the closet is a brave and bold move in every society and in any family situation. Shahar Hadar, a religious Israeli Jew from the city of Akko, took it a step further. He came out and began performing as a drag queen named Malka. It almost cost him his relationship with his wife and daughter, but 3 years later, he jealously guards the balance between the two worlds. More in the following story by Flo Situk.
Last touch of makeup for Shahar Hadar, a few hours before his show in a gay Tel Aviv nightclub.
It's the eye makeup that's the most painful, but you have to suffer to be beautiful.
Shahar completed a 10-month course in the recently opened Drag Queen School of Tel Aviv. As a practicing Jew, he naturally chose to play a rabbi's wife.
I chose to use what I was and transform this into a rabbi's wife. This Rabbanit is like me, very joyful, always smiling, happy. She blesses everyone. And I feel I'm doing a good job with these shows, making more Jews happy.
Find her wonderful and surprising compared to the usual drag queens who all tend to look alike. Fluffy, funny, sexy. Shahar is very different. In a jiffy, he transforms himself into the rabbi's wife. It's very strong and his character can be understood by very different communities.
Shahar walks a tightrope as he tries to reconcile his life as a practicing Jew with his drag queen character.
I could never have dressed like this at home. My parents are tolerant. My mother knows that I work in drag, but not my father, even though he knows I'm gay. It would be hard for them to see this.
קצת יהיה להם קשה לראות את זה.
The 34-year-old performer continues to observe Jewish law, but he's left the ultra-Orthodox world where community pressure forced him to get married. Divorced today and the father of an 11-year-old girl, he recalls those difficult years.
Over 10 years ago, the gay community also rejected religious people. So for a time, I was rejected both by the gays and by the religious. I had no one to talk to, no one with whom I could share with what I was going through. Thank God I held fast and I stayed both religious and gay and succeeded in connecting these two worlds.
So this is an amazing story, and as we said, coming out is always difficult, especially in the religious world. But Amit, do you know of other cases that took it to such an extreme?
Well, this is quite an example for an extreme case, but I know several others. Yes, personally, some other religious guys who are gays, and you must say today in Israel, there are many of guys who can do it. This duality is possible to be both religious and gay, and also there are many rabbis and religious organizations who accept this phenomenon. And I knew...
But in general, I would think that the religious community doesn't really...
Yes, but you see a kind of movement towards accepting, and you see, a process of getting...
Opening to...
Yes.
Gili, do you think the religious community should do more to accept gays?
Well, definitely so, because I think, and don't get me wrong, I think that Shahar found his happiness. He looks very happy. But at the same time, we have to keep in mind that the price that was paid is not only his, it's his former wives, it's his sons. So the price is heavy. So the community is paying the price as well. And also, in addition, I think it's worth asking the question whether he became a drag queen as a reaction to something. He didn't only come out.
Well, you see these contradictions many times, people that are always in control in their work, and they get, and in bed, they need to be out of control. Yes, but I think what's important is for each, humankind to feel free to do what he believes in, and to fulfill himself. And if Shahar
Gili was saying...
Yes, so actually I think it is very important for the religious establishment to accommodate these phenomena. So these things can happen more gradually and more responsibly. So things are happening according to what you really feel and not as a reaction.
What's the situation right now? How common is it for religious gays to come out?
Well, more than ever, you see, in the 21st century. I must say, in last maybe 5-10 years in Jerusalem, the Pride Parade, the most, or at least half of the people over there are people from, religious, who come from their ulpana or yeshivas. And you see it, and it's, and the rabbis also accept it, I said earlier, from time to time. And you have another world in Israel that is very interesting as well. It's the Arab world, and you see many Arabs as well coming out today.
That are coming out. That's true. How is it in other countries?
Well, it's difficult to know the statistics around the world, and especially in some countries, is it just forbidden to be gay, regardless of one's observance. But in the context of Christianity, increasingly so, we don't really see the Pope embracing homosexuality as such, but you have denominations within Christianity that are working towards it. And even the Pope himself recently had quite an announcement recently that gays should not be marginalized. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Although we also see things moving in the other direction, in Russia, for instance.
Yes, there are all, it's like the Kantian, synthesis. You always have a reaction.
An action and the reaction.
Action and reaction. But generally, you see the world move forward. You see more and more countries.
We'll hope that we are moving forward.
More drag queens in Russia.
More drag queens in Russia. We'll keep going. Well, talking about men's clothing and boutiques, modern hairdressers that are popping up all over the city of Kabul. It appears to be the result of a decade of Western presence there, but what do the Islamists think about it? In the next story.
gel, spikes, gloss, and blow drying. No, you're not dreaming. This is really Afghanistan. After 30 years of Taliban rule where men were beaten with sticks or thrown into prison if they try to be stylish, male fashion is attempting a comeback. In regions where the Taliban come from, fashion prohibitions are still respected. But in Kabul, 10 years of Western presence have led to a transformation, and men's clothing boutiques and hairdressers have sprung up across the city. The hairdressers and stylists often learn their trade in exile, and they have brought their expertise back to their native country. Their models? Korean pop stars and David Beckham, for a change. However, guardians of Islam are grumbling. They say that men are wasting their time by paying too much attention to their appearance.
These people are wearing clothes that do not correspond to the national character or identity of Islam. These wretched folk know nothing about their religion, their nation, or their identity.
While the mullahs succeeded in getting the program Afghan Models canceled, others are making a stand in their own special way, like this well-known Afghan stylist, Ubaidullah Zazai.
People who say it is against Islam are still living in the Middle Ages. It is not against Islam. It is something beautiful, and there's no reason whatsoever to oppose it.
But does progress necessarily mean you have to follow Western culture?
So, first of all, I love his style. This guy is great, blew me out of the water. But Gili, what do you think? Do you think that young people will always find a way to be fashionable?
Yes, as long as capitalism is the dominant system in the world, I think they will.
So as long as being fashionable means spending some money?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, but...
I think, we are living in nowadays this big contradiction between the social media, all this exposure, and you want to be modern, but you have this religious and traditional it's so difficult to combine them sometimes,
right?
Especially in Arab countries and in Muslim countries.
Mind you, fundamentalists can wear jeans too, so it doesn't mean sometimes a lot. You don't know.
What's interesting is does it always have to go that way, in the way the Westerns Eastern countries follow the Western way of doing things?
It looks like this has been the trend in the past decades, at least. But it doesn't necessarily mean that other values have penetrated the society. I think we often see very superficial elements of the West, such as fashion, such as Facebook, and so on. But it doesn't necessarily go in favor of the West. It can actually go against the West, as we've seen in Egypt.
Facebook is used as a tool that eventually brought
the Muslim Brotherhood to power, exactly.
Amit?
Yeah, you see, this is well seen in the media, but you see also a lot of people go to the Islam and moving the other direction. It's not maybe documented in to the same extent, but this is another phenomenon you see in the United States. A lot of people finding the Islam, and so I think yes, with the media you have like this. The Western society is the elite, and of course, you have the feeling that the world is moving to this direction. I'm not sure if it's like that, but this is what it appears like on TV.
Thanks. Every week we ask our bloggers to bring us something that may have escaped us in the social sphere. Gili, what have you got for us?
Right, so some of you are already aware of the internet sensation around Dennis Rodman, the former and eccentric NBA basketball player. He was caught on camera basically flipping and losing it completely when he got angry and called President Obama and Hillary Clinton assholes. He was asked about his latest visit to North Korea.
Always a delicate soul.
Absolutely. He definitely is trying to play basketball diplomacy, but the question remains, obviously, is who is playing with whom exactly?
Right. Well, Amit, what have you had for us?
Well, as a guy who likes to travel around the world, I have an art blog. It's called Contemporary Daily Art, or Contemporary Art Daily. And it gives you some of the exhibitions that are shown nowadays across Europe and across the world. And, if you're looking somewhere to, to places to go visit and see interesting exhibition, interesting art, it's a great website to visit.
It looks beautiful. I'll be sure to check it out. I'd like to thank you both for coming to the studio, for enlightening us on these issues. I'd like to thank you for joining us as well. You're also welcome to check out our website at i24news.tv and to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook and whatever other way you can think of. I'm Amit Grober. I'll be here again next Saturday.